tutorial about how to scan line art for zines and comics that are going to be printed on a copier or like laser printer. Um, think of it as being a little bit software agnostic in terms of, I'm just going to talk about some really basic photo editing principles that should be available in just about any software. And the same goes for this scanning dialog here. So I scan directly into Photoshop, which the command for that is file import images from device. And I scan in color. I scan at 600 DPI because that is what my copier prints at. And then for the file format, basically there's two big categories of image files. Image files like JPEG that are considered lossy. So each time that you open them up, they lose a little bit of data and they kind of degrade over time. And lossless files. TIFF is traditionally what artists use because it supports really high resolution files that are lossless. But I found that the cloud, and especially Google Drive, doesn't like TIFFs very much, so I scan as PNGs. And so then you'll just hit scan, and you'll get something that looks like this. So if we zoom in here, we can see that there is, take a look at these values up here. So the K value is our black value, and we can see that it's only at like 60%-ish in the darkest areas. And then in the lightest areas, we've definitely got other colors going on, and you can see the paper texture as well. And you can kind of see the edges of this little collaged bit. So what we're going to do for that is start by unlocking the background. You should probably do a separate layer here, but I don't because, again, it's scenes, baby. We're being a little bit lazy. And then you can go into levels, and if you are in Photoshop, the keyboard shortcut for that is Command L. So here, this little picture here is called a histogram, and it shows you like what data there is in the image. And you can see most of the data is over here. This is where like our lights are. And then right here, this is the slider that determines what is the black point in the image. And you can see that it is outside the area that we actually even have data. So we're just going to bring that in to where we do have data. And then if you want to take a look up here in the info box, you can see now we're at a 90% black in the darkest areas, which is great. That's going to be a rich black when it's printed, but it won't take forever to print. And then over here, see how this little slice is missing here? So if this was like a photograph with a lot of different colors or maybe midtones, I would maybe only bring this white slider in about that much. But because this is line art, I actually want to clip out the entire background. So I'm going to bring it over until I basically I'm kind of scrolling over this, and I can just see we're at 0% in all these areas there. This controls the gray point. And so typically you'll find that like if you move it for black and white line art, if you move it toward the black, you'll have kind of more scribbly textures in your line art, and as you move it toward the white, it will kind of beef up the lines a little bit and typically increase contrast. And so, you know, I don't know, find a good middle point there, depending on, like, for example, how much detail you want in areas kind of like that. And so if you were editing something, so that looks pretty good. This little thing here, this might print and it might not really print. Typically when you print something or copy it, the printing process kind of increases contrast just a little bit, and this is so minor, I'm just not even going to worry about it. If you were editing something that was like a photograph with a lot of colors or maybe a bunch of midtones, instead of using the levels dialog, I'm going to go back in time. So this is what our scan looked like originally. You could use the curves dialog, and it's very similar. I'm going to take my black to a kind of the actual black point and take my white to the white point. But then this allows you here to have a lot of control over the contrast. And this will be really helpful if you have a bunch of midtones to sort of clip your white at the end without kind of completely like blowing out all the other colors and tones. So that's our like super fast editing. The last thing that I might do is to put this in CMYK color mode because we are going to print it. And so RGB is specifically for screens, and CMYK is the three colors of toner in the copier plus black. And so, yeah,